What's up? Today I am going to be doing my April wrap-up. Today I'm going to be doing my April wrap-up, which includes the OWL's wrap-up, and dang, I got 2/3 into this read-a-thon, and I didn't succeed in becoming a wand maker. This time in the quarantine is hard, dude. It's hard. I keep slumping and then finally finding a book that I love and finishing it really fast, and then slumping and then finding a book that I really love and then slumping. So it's been a struggle, but I had 6 books on my TBR this month. I ended up reading 4 books in total, including a DNF, which some people don't count, but I certainly do if I decide to DNF it because I won't read it. That's how I word that. So in my books that I did read, I had 2 contemporaries, 1 nonfiction, and 1 book that I can't quite place, but it was an adult novel. And then as far as adult versus YA, I read 2 and 2. I gave 1 5 stars and 2 4 stars, and then I DNF'd 1, so technically I didn't rate it, but it was definitely a 1 star. And then I read 2 ARCs, which were on ebook. I read 1 audiobook and 1 physical book. So those are my stats as far as everything goes, except for the fact that I read 1,107 pages. I actually read more than that because I am this close to finishing 2 books. Like today, they will be done. But it's May 1st, so I'm going to count them in May. And that's that. So I do have 2 books that I will talk a little bit about at the end of this video. The first book I want to talk about is the DNF, which is Enter the Aardvark by Jessica Anthony. This book is one that I got on NetGalley in exchange for a review, and unfortunately this book was just too weird for me. And that's not the book's fault, which I think is why I ended up not technically rating. I didn't like it. So this book follows 2 timelines, one of which is like the late 1800s when this taxidermist is making this aardvark into a taxidermied animal, and you're following like people. And then in current time, it's like an alternate universe of Republicans and Democrats still, but it's very political, and we're following a Republican who's gay but not out of the closet. And he's the one that gets sent this taxidermied aardvark for some reason, and it just gets him into a lot of trouble. I read 30% of this book, and I have no idea, nothing about what is the plot, other than this dude got an aardvark sent to him, and it caused him way more trouble than it honestly should have, in my opinion. Like, what did I read? Whatever. Not the fault. I honestly don't think it's the fault of the writer. I think the writing is good. I just don't think it's something that I enjoyed. And that is sometimes how that works. So that's a book that I didn't love. I also read Girls Stop Apologizing by Rachel Hollis, which is her second self-help book. And this book focuses on stopping apologizing and going after what you want. I gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars. Honestly, I think that was more generous than it should have been now that I'm like looking over things. There are some things that I really like about Rachel Hollis's work and the way that she writes in her self-help novels. But there are some things in her self-help novels and the way that she writes them that I think forget all of the steps that could get you to where you are to land on the step that you're talking about, Rachel. Like, she's taught, like, I can't even think of a good example, and I don't even know if this is specifically from this book or if it's from her first one. I read this book because it's a Goodreads award winner for 2019. That's why I ended up reading it. And yeah, I can't think of something specifically. I guess I could talk about, like, she talks about how she wanted, like, she basically has having this conversation about not being embarrassed or, like, thinking too small about your dreams, which I do understand and I like the concept behind. But then there are things that happen in the book that she uses as examples of, like, doing it, and I'm like, yeah, but how did you get there? Like, you are already talking about a moment in which you were a successful entrepreneur. That's not where you started. Like, so how did you start as a normal person, normal human, and get to where you're talking about? Because not everyone is already in this successful place. So to start there feels like I have to catch up in order to get what I'm supposed to get out of this book. That wasn't perfect for me. Okay, the next book that I want to talk about is Sparrow by Mary Cecilia Jackson. This is another ARC from NetGalley that I got, and I gave this book 4 stars. I keep going between 4 and 4.5. This book I've talked about a lot now, so I will try to keep my thoughts short on it. But if you watched my Owls vlog that went up right before this video, which I'll link up in the cards above, I talk about this book a lot in that vlog. Basically, this book leans a lot on shock value, and I think that that's the one negative that I took out of it. However, the book is intense and grit, and you can't stop reading it because you want to understand what happened, and you want to like heal with this person, and just the trauma that this person has gone through is so intense and overwhelming. And I loved the dance scenes, and there's a lot of trigger warnings. This book starts out very quickly in an abusive relationship. This book has a huge trigger warning for abuse in multiple ways. There are many graphic scenes. There's not so much like blood and gore specifically, although there is, but there's also scenes that depict just violence. It's not what somebody might traditionally call violence, but like maybe torture all at the same time. I don't know how to explain it without giving it away, and I don't want to. But very quickly, this book goes into an abusive relationship. I personally think that Bad Romance by Heather Demetrios is a better version of what this book was trying to do. But I still think this book was really good. Moving on. My last book that I want to talk about is my 5-star read of the month. And honestly, I think it is my favorite book of the year so far. And it is A Heart and a Body in the World by Deb Coletti. It is so good. This book also has trigger warnings in it, but I don't want to say them here. They are listed in my Goodreads review if you're interested in checking those out before you read, because there are some definitely tough topics in this book. But wow, it's so good. I just love it. A Heart and a Body in the World has a lot of trigger warnings, so there's lots to look into if you're interested. But this book follows a girl who something has happened in her past, some sort of trauma, and something like triggers her while she's out, and she decides to run. She's a cross country or like a long distance runner, like on a track team, and she runs like a lot of miles. I don't remember how many. And then while she's doing that, she decides that she's going to run cross country, like across the country, over the summer, like right before her graduation. It's like starting like a month before her graduation or something. And her grandpa is like this Italian old man who follows her in his RV, and their relationship is adorable, and there's like a cute little romance that's like slow burn. And there's just so much about this book that is so good that I don't even know like really how to explain it, other than the fact that it's the ambiance. Like it's how this world, and not this world, it's our world, but how this family and all of these relationships are set up. And it's just so good, and I loved it a lot. It's so good. Those 4 books I read all for the OWLs. Enter the Aardvark was my arithmancy novel, which was to read a book outside of my normal favorite genre, which it definitely was. Sparrow was my Charms challenge, which was to read a book with a white cover. A Body in a World was my Ancient Ruins challenge, which was to read a book with heart either on or in the title, or like on the cover. So all of those were completed. I'm also currently in the middle of a winter, which was standing for my magical creatures. Read a book with a animal that has a beak on the cover. And in this version, it has a bird on it. So I am so close to finishing winter. I have like 2 hours left, but really that's only 1 hour of listening because I listen on 2.2 times speed. So I'm almost done with it. And then I was also reading Midnight Sun, which was going to land for my Herbology Mimbulus Membratona challenge, which was to read a book that starts with an M, and I am so close to finishing that as well. I think I have like 50 pages left or maybe 60, and I'm loving both of them so much. So keep an eye out for my May TBR. No, they won't be in my TBR, but they will be in my May wrap up because I'm into it. I'm real excited. So that's everything that I read this month. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Before I go, I do have a few quick announcements. If you're interested, me and my best friend Bailey are doing a live show over on our Girls Who Gab channel, which is where we host our podcast. We're doing a live show on Saturday, May 9th at 5 o'clock p.m. PST, which is 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And we are going to be talking about like COVID-19, the stay-at-home order, and everything that's going on with us and our experience while being here. And we would love if you guys would come, join us, hang out with us. If you're of legal age and feel comfortable, you're more than welcome to have a drink with us. We'll be drinking for sure. And we just want to like kind of share each other's like stories and experiences of what we're doing here with this wild historical moment that we're all living through. It's like horrible and annoying and everything. And it's really fun because Bailey has been furloughed, so her and her husband and daughter are home at all times. She hasn't left her apartment complex in over 40 days, and I'm an essential worker going to work 5 days a week. So our lives are very different from each other's right now. So come and join us if you want to talk about it. Please go subscribe to the Girls Who Gab YouTube channel so that you don't miss it. And if you're interested in following our podcast, we talk about all sorts of different life things. We just filmed one that was all about like healthy lifestyle, eating and working out and things like that. We've posted one about our friendship and how we met and stuff like that. There's a whole set of podcasts so far. And this one, well, the reason we're doing it live is to celebrate that we're on our 10th episode. And then I also am planning on doing a live show over on More Sassy Cassie on Wednesday, May 13th. I haven't decided on the time yet, but probably 6 o'clock PST at night, 6 p.m. PST, which would be 9 o'clock EST. I'm planning on doing another live show that's like a self-care check-in, also kind of surrounding COVID and coronavirus and stay at home and all this stuff. But I'll probably do a face mask, chill, and if you want to join me for that, you should go and check out my second channel, and I'll see you guys there. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Please give it a thumbs up if you did, and make sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. I make videos every Monday and Wednesday on this channel, so I'll see you guys very soon with a new one. Goodbye!